An immediate, like, fight in the chat over who's first. I love it. Right. Let's get this show on the road. Everybody give it up for our resident petrified primate, Myro the monkey! Painting goo 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 goo. Painting goo 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 goo. Painting goo 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 goo. Painting goo goo goo. It's painting fucking goo. It's painting goo. Painting goo. It's painting goo. It's fucking goo. Where we go, nobody knew. Painting goo. Painting goo. Painting goo. Painting goo 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 goo. Painting goo 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 goo. Oh, where's my sip-sippo? Oh, glorious. Oh. Painting goo. It's painting goo. What will we go? Nobody knew what we go. Painting goo. Painting goo. Painting goo. Alright. It's a Friday. Let's bring it home, Myro. Let's remind these filthy mortars the meaning of beauty and honor. Painting goo. 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 Painting goo. Aha! Aha! Friend. Painting goo 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 goo. Goo 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 goo. Painting goo goo goo. It's painting fucking goo. It's painting goo. Painting goo. Painting goo. Painting goo. Painting goo. Painting goo. Goo goo goo. Goo 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 goo. Painting goo. Goo 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 goo. That's it, you marvelous monkey. Remind these filthy mortars of the beauty. Painting goo. Painting goo. Is painting good. Oh, so beautiful. I am wearing up. My eye hairs are reeking with the beauty. Right? If any of you filthy mortars have any fucking honor, you will pay the monkey by placing a tip in his bowl. And that doesn't mean sticking your dick in the monkey's bowl. That's just, we've had people do that before, and it's not a good look. The optics are really bad. As hilarious as it may be, especially on a Friday night with plenty of drinks in us, the sake was flowing that night indeed. But it is dishonorable, despicable, and wrong Hilarious, but wrong. To put your dick in the monkey's bowl. Tip as in money, not cock. Fucking degenerates. Welcome, shit, to another glorious episode of PEINTEINGU with me, your demi-divine host, Defender Osama, former god, now demigod of PEINTEINGU. Excuse me whilst I descend into proper PEINTEINGU posture. The stool is stiff and slow today. There we go. Not too bad, not too bad. It was really bad the other day. It took me nearly a full minute to descend to proper PEINTEINGU posture, revering my beautifully fluffy top knot. My anti-oni top knot. The demons cannot stand how beautiful my hair is. They flee before it. Look at it. Look at it sway back and forth. It's glorious. Right, who has honor this day? There was a fight in the chat. I love it. I love competitiveness. I love hearty competition. First, again, in my usual brilliantness, says Emmanuel Godsonu of Kurok. Maxed Out Barrow comes in with, I might have been the first thumb up, though. But I'll call it a possible draw. Honourable acknowledgement of the man's proclaimed ventures and accomplishments. But, stating the obvious, Defender Bear, I protest. Maxed Out Bear is trying to undermine my greatness. He is doing it openly without shame. This is a plea for leniency, mercy from me to intervene in a frivolous mortal bout, a argument, a dispute between my own Japonite. I love it. I shall watch as it unfolds in the chat, and I shall keep my distance. And you may know, Emmanuel, that you may only seek my help when I am willing to give it. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, or suffer the shame of your ancestors. And 33 rashes. Those 33 rashes really compound the shame. Not only will your ancestors look upon you with great disappointment and shame, each one of them frowning, with furrowed brows, looking at you intently, with shame, disgust, and unpleasant feelings and desires in their eyes. And then we whip you, we rash you, frog you, violently, intensely, joyfully. That's joyous for me. I love whipping things. Nothing like the crack of a whip to wake you up in the morning. Don't worry, Emmanuel, your greatness remains intact. Unlike my wrong lost tip, thanks to that pesky Moor. Oh, God. I'm so glad I was raised Catholic. LARPing as a Japanese god of painting. I'm so glad I was raised Catholic. Oh, fuck. No D's in the bowl. Yeah, that's... There are many rules of PEINTEINGU. I haven't written any of them down, but they're there. Vaguely floating above my mind's eye. The many P's of PEINTEINGU, the many I was going to say raws and rules of PEINTEINGU. What would be a law on PEINTEINGU? What raws would we have on PEINTEINGU? The fact that law becomes raw is hilarious. You there! Have you any idea how many raws you've broken? I don't even use raws. I'm using OCBs. What's wrong with you? Defender should add forklift beeping sounds when he lowers his stool. I think it's hilarious the way I just look into the camera and like do faces and shit as I descend. I love that's still one of my favorite bits on this stream. It's just me dressed like this, staring like seriously into the camera while I slowly lower on the stool. And then you can see my hair, which is even funnier. Like, but yeah, that would be brilliant. Like, just beep, 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 and you can see me doing it and all. Like how funny would that be if I just stared into the camera? It's just like beep, beep. Here on PEINTEINGU, we make our own audio. That includes everything: sound effects, background music. I've secretly employed the guys outside to destroy the road. They've stopped now for the moment. Oh god, that was brutal. Like, I think that might be the reason I have a vague headache in my forehead the last 24 hours. The amount of vibrating this house has done over the last couple of weeks, like, it's fucking crazy. Like, and I'm not, like, I'm being genuine. I mean, like, like, I could feel it when I'm walking around the house, like, you know. It's like, like, oh fuck. Ah, Denmark Barrow, welcome. I've got a rot of coffee in my beard. Chicken. -12°C here today. I'm freezing my bars off, but I love how refreshing and awake it makes me feel. Yeah, like if you're wearing the right equipment, suffering the winter like blizzards and shit isn't too bad. Like, you know what I mean? But if you're just like in a damp hoodie in a warehouse in like damp socks, like, because I used to cycle to work, and like that happened to me a few times where like the weather was shit and like I didn't think to bring a change of clothes because I didn't expect the weather to be suddenly shit on the way to work, or it was just really cold and then you'd be sweating and it was horrible. Like, it's fucking like brutal just being on a production line damp. Like, it's like, I would be looking around for a forklift if he did that. I love that image of me making sound effects and you just being like, huh? What the fuck? Raw one! Never eat your steak raw. Yeah, fuck blue steak. The French are cool for lots of reasons, but they're also weirdos and fucking freaks and gobshites for a whole other load of reasons. I know you can say the same about any culture, you know, but we're talking about the French right now. And blue steak is just like, I don't know. Like, when I think about it, there's a small part of me, you know, when I have my berserker moments, if I'm like full of testosterone, or if I've been working out regularly and like taking protein shakes or some shit. Denmark Bear, need more protein. Get on it. What is vibrating? There's roadworks going on like right outside my house. Hold on, I'll show you. Engage monkey cam. All of that section there, they're like redoing the whole path and extending it out towards the road to give like the pedestrians more space to walk. So this whole thing right outside my house, literally right outside my front door, for weeks now, and like it's like a 2-year project because the road goes through the whole town and shit. Like, and they're just like, they have I don't know what they're called, but like, you know those things that like fucking they compound the bricks when they lay them down. It's basically just a big stomper. Like, you know, it's just a big platform, a pneumatic whacker. Like, and there's just one of the lads. It's so funny. Like, you'll see one of the guys on this thing, and it's just like, like, you know, flattening all the bricks out into the pavement and all. And there's just 5 guys just standing there having a chat or a cigarette. Like, It's fucking ridiculous. Like, it's just mad. Like, and like, if it's not one of those things, it's like, they had a cement saw going for like loads of the day, like most of the day there, a few days ago, and all you can hear is like, "Ah!" And then a brief like, and then it stops, and then it's like, yeah, fucking like all the beautiful sound effects you'd hear on a construction site for like. Don't get me wrong, like I used to love the home of a woodwork shop, like of a carpentry place or some shit like that, like or a building site. Sometimes you get used to it, like if you're around it all the time. But when when you're trying to just go about your day and you're in your house, and there's just fucking shit like that, like right outside your door, like one of the times, like the female opened the door, and there's just a dude in an orange, like the orange jacket, the white helmet, the orange fucking trousers, and a shovel. Like right there. Like, it's so weird living in the middle of a town that has this like main road going right through it. Like the oddities of everyday life of living in a house that is essentially like, it's like living in the middle. It'd be like living in the city, but nowhere near as bad because it's a small, fairly like semi-rural town. It's not that big. There's only a few thousand people. Like, it's not a city at all. Like, I wouldn't even. Yeah, like, it's a big fucking village. Like, do you know what I mean? But it's, some of the things are mad. Like, because it's not even like alien to me that the house is vibrating because they're fucking doing all the shit outside. Um, because ever since we moved in, there's been a problem of like, because the main road is outside, there's loads of like huge trucks with all sorts of raw materials going to all over the island, right? And like, it'd be like 1 in the morning, and then you'd be trying to go to sleep, especially in the front room here. This is the front of the house. We sleep at the back of the house, which, so it's like, it's not really that bad at all. You can barely hear them, but sometimes like on a summer day, be too warm because we're like, the way this fucking house is, it doesn't hold any heat. It's small, but during the winter it's freezing, and during the summer it's boiling because it's like we're essentially in an attic, a converted attic. So we have a slanted ceiling in the bedroom and all, so it's very compact. So when it gets warm, it just like, oh, it gets so, we don't need the heating at all for like half the year, because a lick of sun and a lick of heat, just the bedroom is fucking grand. Like, and it's just so funny how like we can, like, so there's been some times where I've slept in here, right, and then it's like you're way more aware of it because a truck will pass, and it's like living right beside a railroad or something. Like, it's like the foot, like you can hear it coming. It's not just when it passes, it's like duh, 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 and you're like, well, whatever. You can hear the thing coming from like 100 feet away, 200, 300 feet down the road, like, and like you can just hear this whole like, when you hear the brakes on a truck, and it's like that whole like the release of like the hydraulics or whatever, like that huge like exhaust of, it sounds like water vapor coming out of the thing, like it's just like, and that's super fucking loud. And then they brake at the turn at the roundabout there, like, and then so they have to like cycle back through the gears and like rev it up again, and also it's just the fucking noise of these things, and it's every few minutes, even at like 3 o'clock in the morning. It's crazy, so fucking mental. Like, it's mad living here. Like, I grew up in a suburb most of my life, so I never experienced something like that. I think both times I lived in a cul-de-sac. Yeah, both times I lived in a cul-de-sac. So there's no like traffic around. Like, anybody who had to come in usually lived here, or they're visiting someone, or they're lost. So like, never heard anything like that. On a really quiet night when I was living back in Lucan, if I had the window open on a quiet night, I could hear the train in the distance. But that was cool, It was like, it's a totally different scenario. Bedridden for 2.5 days now. Some shitty morphine. It's fucking morphine's shit. I want heroin. Oh god. I got all the Ong Bak and the Raid films for you. And this. Oh no way! Oh, that's my weekend sorted. Awesome. Have you like? Has everybody in the chat seen? I don't, Margie's not here yet. Fucking. If you haven't seen the Raid and the Raid Redemption, and if you haven't seen Ong Bak, or is it Ong Bak? I don't know. You know when people give you shit for pronouncing shit correctly? Like I say Gung Fu, because that's how Chinese people say it. Yeah, oh, Gung Fu. You know, like they don't pronounce the K like a K. You know, like it's like the whole thing with fucking Danielson and the Karate Kid, where it's like it's karate, it's not karate. You know, like. But anyway, if you haven't seen, definitely the first one of Ong Bak. Ong Bak. I say Ong Bak. Sounds more Asian. Like imagine a Malaysian fella saying it, you know, Ong Bak, you know, like it sounds like it would sound like that, you know, or it's spelt like it would sound like that phonetically. First one's great. Second one, like there's some good moments. Third one, weird as fuck. Some good moments. Like they get weird as fuck. First one's class. And then there's another one called Warrior King, but then it's also called something else. It depends on what country, like what region version you're getting. When I watched it, was called Warrior King, and it's fucking hilarious because it's about his baby elephant gets stolen, but his baby elephant's name is Corn. With a K, not corn with a C. It's corn with a K. I think it's the name of God or something. But it's so funny when he's like, corn. It's like, where's my elephant? Where's Corn? And I'm like, it's just like, it's those movies are so funny, and they're entertaining for like so many reasons. Because like I know a lot of people would be like, oh, I can't watch subtitles movies or foreign movies, and like I can't take it seriously because they sound like, you know, like, and they're not lying. I mean, there's this one scene. Is it in Warrior King or Ong Bak? I can't remember which one it's in. It's Ong Bak. It's Ong Bak. The fucking so there's like the main guy Tony who's like kicking the shit out of everyone getting out of his way. Great premise for a martial arts movie. And then there's this fat guy he meets who's like a bit of a fucking what we would call a grabbler, like, do you know what I mean? Like a criminal. He's like a piece of shit, like kind of like, but he's got like a good heart kind of thing. And then there's this girl, and her friend is like a prostitute junkie or some shit like that, and she ends up dying like at a point in the movie. And there's this scene where they're in the, like, I don't even think it's the morgue. I think it's like the back end of the police station or something, or a hospital. It's probably the back end of a hospital, because like she has just died of an OD or something. Like they just found her and she's just on a slab, and her sister, like one of the main characters, comes in, and the sister's name is Ngek, right? So it's Ngek. Like they don't say it like Ngek, you know. It's Ngek. So you gotta imagine this whiny little Asian young one is crying, or like the acting's fairly decent. Like she's like crying her eyes out. And like, you know, inconsolable because her fucking sister's just died of a drug overdose. But it's, you can't take it serious, even for people like me who love foreign movies, because she's just like, and like, you can imagine, like, as like, because you don't speak the language and you're from a different culture and all, if you were standing in the room, I swear to God, like, I'd be like, like, I'm so sorry your sister's dead, but jeez. It's one of the funniest things ever, like, because you, like, it's not supposed to be like, you know, just a throwaway scene or whatever. It's supposed to be this really somber moment, because it's like, shit, like, she died of an OD, like, you can't, like, especially like when you're like in your late teens, watching it with your mates and you're smoking weed and drinking alcohol, and this fucking Malaysian bitch is just like, it's like 5 minutes long. Like she's like screaming the place down. Oh, it's hilarious. I'm crying. So funny. Clan Defender helps sort out diplomatic entanglements, and then I just seen it. He sorted nothing. Oh, the chat's hilarious today. And I bet they never finish. They will eventually. They'll eventually finish, you know. Or they'll eventually not be here, so I'll think they have finished, but they're actually not finished. They're just up the road somewhere. Ah, somebody has a paid for PEINTEINGU! Glorious! Who has honor this day? Maxed Out Beru! Jeez, when Maxed Out Bear tips, he puts the resties to shame, he does. I can't expect the Canadian to be tipping me a lot of money, though. He's Canadian, you know, so. Well, how about the Dane? You know? I suppose you did send me protein. You either send me more protein or you pay for PEINTEINGU. I think that's fair. Yeah, like, he sorted nothing. I'm plotting revenge. My revenge would be the laughter of my goal. I was wondering why Maxed Out Bear put a fish in the chat. I was like, what the fuck is there? Why is there a fish in the chat? See, that's why I love emotes. Like, you know, don't get me wrong, like, I get where Owen's coming from. It's like, it's too much. What the fuck? Like, especially the big ones. You know, in the chat, like, especially on Telegram or something. If somebody just emotes, it, like, takes up the fucking amount of space that, like, a fucking 7-sentence paragraph would take. It makes no sense. Makes no sense to me at all. But anyway. Some hefty violence. Yes. Warrior King, Ongbok, 1, 2, and 3. I think there's only 3 of them. Please tell me they only made 3 of them. Tony kind of, like, fell off the radar. Kind of, like, pulled a Brendan Fraser like, for a while. But then he came back and he was in one of the Expendables movies and shit. Like, I think he's doing okay now. But, like, he went through a whole thing. Fame fuck you up if you're not ready for it, like. People are weird, man. Can I, like, I can imagine what it would be like to be famous, but at the same time, like, you don't know till you know. You know, it's like anything else. But the fucking weird shit, like, you know, like, the basic shit would be fan mail. And that can be, like, really not basic. That can get wild. Just fan mail can get wild. Can get really, like, complicated, like, potentially, like, you know, criminal and, like, have to go to court with some crazy person, like. So imagine the headache of, like, having your own community, buying land for that community and fucking, like, you know. Fucking hell, man. Dealing with these freaks. Can only fuck, like, part of me like would love to know how I would react in those moments, especially live on the stream. Should I mean if I just got a text message saying like, oh yeah, fucking, we just found out that blah 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 is gonna sue us for blah blah blah, and I just be like, this motherfucker. Like, I don't think I'd be able to, like, contain it and deal with it in a disciplined fashion. It'd be really messy, like. I'd probably be getting on, like, Twitter. I'm like, who the fuck? Like, see, this is why I don't deal with fucking Mexicans. Fucking backstabbing cunts. Like, I'd be way more like, you know, this nigger. Like, oh, probably, like, well, if you have a wife and kids, it's way different because it's not just about you; it's about them. It's like. If you're just like, if it's just you, like, and it's your social life, and then it gets big, and you're interacting with, like, absolute fucking weirdos and freaks and dickheads, and because it's not just the people who get jealous and want to do you harm, or like, or like these narcissistic psychopaths. It's not just them. It's the people that, like, you want to be polite to, but at the same time, every so often you'll get frustrated, and you'd be like. You'll get the urge to just turn around and be like, will you just fuck off? Like, I'm in IKEA. I don't want to take a photo. Do you know what I mean? Like, seriously? Just say hi, you know? Like, hi is cool. Hi is normal. Hi is human. You know? I don't want to take fucking, like, we're shopping. Fuck off. I'm with my family. Like, I can just totally imagine it. Like, fucking, it's actually funny talking about this, because, like, the clip of Tom Cruise getting water sprayed on him and then him, like, dealing with it.
Emma had never seen that, and I showed it to her, because she was showing me something. She was like, "Look how rude these two bitches are in this interview." It was like something to do with the Grammys, and they're like talking to some black fella, and then some LGBT head called Chaplin something. I can't remember the second name. Comes in, and they're still talking to the black fella, and he's in the middle of a sentence, and they just go, "Oh, Chaplin, Chaplin," like, I get her, and he's just like, "Oh, you guys want to do that? Okay," and just like walks away, like. And like that's what the clip was. It's like, these guys are so rude or whatever. She was showing me that, and it reminded me of the thing of Tom Cruise getting sprayed with water. Why would you do that? I'm here giving you an interview. That's so rude. It's ridiculous. You're a jerk. The way like he grabs your man's hand and puts it back on the railing, and it's like, don't run away. And like people's comments are like, Tom Cruise is terrifying. Tom Cruise is tiny. Like. But like, don't get me wrong, I can imagine if like Tom Cruise was looking up at me and I said something that offended him, and he's like, I'm just picturing Tom Cruise trying to give me lip while looking up at me. I can't. I wouldn't. I'd be like, easy now, Tom. Don't make me flicky in the forehead, you fucking midget. Oh, jeez. Can't access PayPal. Well, that's your problem, isn't it? It's you don't have to super chat me. It's fine. Send me some more silver. Like, see, that's what you get for being like one of the real niggas who like has silver and like fucking, I don't know. You don't finger people's asses, do you? You don't like you have a real job, a man's job. Didn't you box for a while or some shit? Like, I'm trying to remember all the stuff I've like heard through the grapevine. He's not actually a proctologist. It's one of the funniest. I swear to God, for ages I thought you were a proctologist. It's one of the things I love about this community is the inside running jokes. Like part of me wishes I found the bears now, so that I'd have to catch up on all the stuff. Like, gravy, what the fuck is gravy? Like, you know. But I'm around a while now. Like, it's actually hilarious. When Owen's like, I've been doing this like. Some of you guys are here like 8 years, and I'm like, how long am I here? How long am I watching this nigga? Like, I can't fucking. It feels like I've been watching Owen since I was 20. Like, it's probably not that far. Well, no, I probably started watching around like, what am I now? 33, 27-ish, 6. I don't know. I think it's been like 5 or 6 years, maybe 7. I can't remember how long I was watching Owen before I like started talking to other bears, and then subsequently became a bear, and then wrote him a letter and all, like, and then we sent that care package as the bearer group with the allegedly sign in it and all, like, oh, fucking good times, good shit. We need to do more of that. The Irish Bear Clan still hasn't really recovered in the same fact. Like, we were fucking. I swear to God, sometimes I'm like, that was done on purpose, but. You know, people are just people. People are just stupid and emotional. You know, like, can't just be real with each other. Like, it's all this, like, like, people literally go on like children. But, like, especially the ones that have kids, like, they're so morally, like, grandstanding, and, like, not just morally. What would be the term? Like, maturity grandstanding. I see a lot of that. I see a lot of these people who, like, go on like they're like, you know, a full-fledged adult, and they're like fucking, you know, oh, you're young, or like, you know, or you haven't really grown up, like, you know, fucking. And sure, they could make an argument with somebody like me, because it's like, look at you dress up on the fucking internet, what's wrong with you? Like, sure, they could make that argument, but like, the hilarious reality of a lot of situations, like, I've had people with children who are older than me, like, talk to me about stuff and tell me that, like, you know, that I'm intelligent and like have a unique perspective on things and stuff. Like I've noticed that, where I've had like people be straight up and me be like, no, yeah, like, you're like fucking straight arrow, dude, like, you know. And then, like, because I do relate to Owen in those situations where you come across people and you're like, why do you hate me so much? And it's like, oh, it's because you're like broken and weird on the inside. That's what it is. Like, it's fucked up. Like, people try to get close to you. Like, that Buzzwrecker was a lunatic. And like, and watching Jim Bob dissolve like on the internet, like mad stuff. Like I've witnessed and experienced so many things over the last couple of years, several years of being a part of this community and like going on a truth rabbit hole journey and shit, like, and all, like, where you come across archetypes of people that I really wasn't aware existed. Do you know what I mean? Like really unique mashups of like trauma and like free will. Like they've made it's the type of stuff that makes a really interesting villain. It's like, do you know what? He's a murdering psychopath and he's this, that, and the rest, but like, but he's fucking funny and he says some true shit. Like, you come across the maddest people. Like, I have no job. I believe you. Like, I could totally imagine just some Danish lad on a bit of land who, like, you just chop your own wood. You have a well. You know, you barter with the locals. I could just imagine you being like, so like, getting 3 silver coins off someone is hilarious. Like, I know you could get that off of fucking somebody who just deals in stocks. Like, do you know what I mean? It doesn't mean that they don't have to be like a homesteading type. But it was just so funny when you sent me the silver. I was like, it's hilarious. It's a totally different vibe. Like watching the mainstream the last few months catch up with this, like, and I'm not saying it's just the bears in this community. I'm sure there's loads of like communities or groups out there that I'm unaware of that are, you know, way further along in a lot of ways to do with the zeitgeist and life in general. But it's fucking mental watching the mainstream catch up to stuff that like I watched Owen stream about and all of us talk about and meme about and all that shit years ago, and then like the female will bring it up or something, and I'm like, that's mad how like my consciousness has already like assimilated that information a while ago. You did, like, it's weird being in a sense ahead of the curve. It's weird for me. And not because I was never ahead of the curve. Like, there's always been moments where I was like, this is going to happen. And then it does. And I'm like, yeah, I was right. But I was never one of those guys that was like, see? I was right. I'd always just turn to one of my niggas and be like, told you. You know, like I'd keep one of the DL. Like, I didn't want, like, a round of applause. Look at you, you're so intelligent. You can predict things. You see the truth. Like, I never wanted that. Like, you know, if anything, I was always like, no, they'll want to kill me. Like that's one of the things I think is so funny about Jesus. Like this man was so great. He fed everyone. He healed the sick. What happened to him? They crucified him. Like, if you want, like, what are human beings like? What is humanity in a nutshell? You just like start off with, so there was this guy like Jesus, right? And like just go on, just milk it about how amazing he was and explain what a miracle is. And he was the son of God. He was the creator of the entire existence and all this shit. Like, it's like, so like, what happened to Jesus? It's like, oh, they crucified his ass. They nailed him they whipped him, fucked him up, made him crawl up a hill with a big fucking cross on it, and then they took that cross and nailed him to it, lifted him up, left him there for a while, and then stabbed him. like you couldn't, like you have to be a psycho to fucking come up with that. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, you have to be a psycho to be out. So what are we gonna do to punish him? Oh, wait, no, I tell you. Like, bold Jesus, you've been sentenced to, and they just like take out a scroll and are like, Jesus Christ. I got like a crown of thorns, whipping, flogging, slapping. I mean, like cat of nine tails, flogging. Jesus Christ, because like they don't just fucking like, and yes, this is just because I've seen Passion of the Christ, like, you know, so I just believe Mel Gibson. But man, they fucked him up. Like, that scene is fucking insane. hitting him with that shit with the glass on it and all, and it's just fucking like, and I'd well believe it. Like, do you know what I mean? I'd well like look at the fucking, you look at English history and torture chambers and stuff like that, like the Wheel of Pain and all, like, and Iron Maidens. Iron Maidens are fucking mental. Like, you just put you standing in a sarcophagus and the thing has a lot of spikes on it. And they just fucking hell, like, people are so fucked up, like. And that's what kind of like, that's kind of makes sense. It's like, that's why they call it the Dark Ages, because there's some fucking crazy shit going on. Like, they don't call it the Dark Ages to, like, you know, and this is just my opinion, like, do you know what I mean? But it's like, I don't think they call it the Dark Ages to, like, hide the truth of the amazing technology and all this, you know, the fucking Jesus' 1,000-year reign and all this crap. Like, but like, I do agree with a lot of that shit, architecturally, technologically, spiritual knowledge wise, like alchemy wise, like all that shit definitely looks like, it's like we all have collective amnesia, but it's not though. It's because they like monopolized and consolidated and converged information and then gatekept it. That's basically the way I see it. It's like the monkeys who get to the bananas first come to a point where they're like, more monkeys are going to come and, you know, they're going to take all the bananas. And there's only so many bananas here. So, like, what are we going to do? And they basically, like, lie about the location of the bananas. Because then it's like, only 6 of us know where the bananas are. You know, like, and then there'd be a whole argument of, like, why didn't you tell us all where the bananas are? It's like Antarctica. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like, it makes sense logically, but it does assume that the people who find the resources first or come across, because that's what information is, it's a resource, like, you know. So it's like, if you are the first one to come across this particular kind of data set, that if you act upon that data will give you an advantage of some sort, if you're the first ones to it, if you're ahead of the curve, you have an advantage. And to presume that everybody throughout history has, like, essentially pulled up the ladder behind them is a bit victim-y, like, do you know what I mean? But there's obviously evidence of it. There's obviously evidence of, like, that happening a lot, where, like, people get to a point and they pull up the ladder behind them instead of, like, building a stairs. But you could totally make the argument that if you, like, climb the mountain and then build stairs, then people won't experience what you experience because they don't have to climb the mountain. They can just walk up the stairs. So, do you really want to make people's journey to where you're at easier? Is that a good thing to do? Because it sounds like it in the immediate, because you're like, oh no, it's good to, like, help people, you know, like if you're struggling and somebody puts out their hand and, like, whatever. But, like, when you think about it, like, the physical test, the trial by fire of, like, climbing a mountain, and then you get to see, you're at the summit and you get to see the bird's eye view, and you're like, oh, the land looks like this, right? So, like, then you build the stairs, and then everybody after you can just, like, stroll up to, like, sure, it's probably still really cold, and there's, like, still slight, you still have to be some kind of fit to, like, walk all the way up a mountain, even if it's just a staircase. Like, you'd probably be a bit out of breath when you got to the top, but you're not going to have the, like, abrasions and calluses on your hands from the climbing, and you're not going to have the experience and the you know, near death experiences of, like, nearly falling to your death a few times and all this fucking shit. Like, you're not going to have all that shit. Like, so, like, building a ladder or a staircase behind you in those scenarios, like, may not actually be the right thing to do. Like, it's kind of like the beach. You know, like, when you find paradise, what do? Do you hide it? Do you lie about it? Or do you tell everybody about it? Because we've seen time again when, like, you see something on the fucking internet, it was like, look at this beautiful lagoon nobody knows about. And then 6 years later, it's a fucking hellscape because loads of people showed up. It turned into a tourist hotspot for a point. And now it's just, like, riddled with rubbish and drugs. You know, like, cycles are a bitch, man. Margie, did I say hi? I can't remember. Welcome, Margie. I have silver, but I'm not paying the value of a coin for shipping. Not a chance. I can only imagine how expensive it would be. Oh my god. Might as well be a proctologist. Here GPs do the dirty work. Your GP, is that? Is that what it is? Who was this Owen fellow? Give us a link. Owen Benjamin. Hilarious daily live streams. Yeah, owenbenjamin.com or fucking... What would be the best way? Part of me was thinking about doing that a while ago, like putting a link to all of Owen's shit like in my stuff for when people are like, what are you talking about? Like, owenbenjamin.com is a good place to start, obviously. I think you have to be invited to the speakeasy, don't you? But like that doesn't really matter. You can still follow him on Telegram. He's on Telegram, he's on Instagram, he's fucking everywhere. He's back on Facebook. You could type him into Facebook, look him up. He's a comedian. He's been around years. He's a big fan of Norm Macdonald, which, like, you know, gives you a good idea of like his sense of, like, he's like high class really funny comedy, like intellectually sophisticated comedy, but also like really like tongue-in-cheek blue or lowbrow comedy. Like, does it all. Dude's I have a lot of respect for the man. Like, he's one of the few people who's doing, like, he's just trying to be a good guy, and he's like shown everyone how hard it is to just try and be a good guy. Like, that's one of the hilarious things about Owen Benjamin. It's just like, I'm just like, what the fuck? like I was watching an interview with Katie Hopkins, this guy called Andrew Gold, this Jewish fella. I don't really like him. He seems Jewy. like he comes across, he's like, I'm just a nice guy, I want to talk about things, but I don't know. But he was talking to that British woman, Katie Hopkins, and she got the Owen treatment. Oh, Max Outbearer, I never read out your fucking thing, sorry. A few Friday shekels for you and the monkey. Ah, glorious. Yes, Max Outbearer has honor this day. The rest of you are faggots. Filthy mortar scum. I'm using the royal rag to clean up all the excess coffee. Fucking, what was I talking about? Can't even remember now. I'm exhausted. I'm still really sore after the workout I did like the day before yesterday. I genuinely thought that when I woke up today, I'd be like, oh, I'll be less sore when I wake up today. I'm the same amount of sore as it was yesterday. And it just keeps making me laugh because I'm like, I really didn't think I went that hard. Like, do you know what I mean? I did 2 rounds of like very basic shit. Like, put like 20 kilos on a barbell. And I did deadlifts, bent over rows, squats, just a strict curl, like standing strict curl, and standing overhead press. That's all I did. Oh, and press ups. True press ups in at the end of both sets. So I started off. What's the first thing I did? Started off the deadlifts, and then I went into the overhead press because I like that. Like, it feels biomechanically like natural to go from the deadlift to, you know, hooshing it up and switching to the overhead press, and then just doing that. I really like barbell training. Just a straight just a straight bar with weights on it. Like, I really like it. There's something about like the way it disciplines your body to be like symmetrical, and I really like doing standing overhead presses and standing strict curls because it's like, it doesn't just, if you're doing it right, like, it's like a full body workout, you know. It's not like, sure, you're isolating the biceps, or you're attempting to, but like, I hit my pecs, lower back, glutes, like the whole lot, because like, if you keep your feet planted and try like to maintain, because like, it's not like, I like to try and have like really good form and discipline and posture and shit while I'm doing all the exercises, because that's like what you're supposed to do. Like, do you know what I mean? You don't want to just like whack the weight on, like pump, right, I'm tired now, whack the weight off, different exercise. That's what most people do. It's just like, pump iron, and like, sure, that works, but like, what I really like doing is the whole full range of motion shit. Like I really believe in a lot of what that Mike Israetel guy talks about, because that's how I did that when I'm doing calisthenics on like the pull up bar and doing dips and stuff like that, which I also really like. I really like doing dips, pull ups, and like, what would you call them? Like knee crunches, suspended knee crunches. You like sit in the thing elevated and then like crunch your knees up to your chest. Fucking wrecks your core. I like doing shit that like really fucks you up, like really hits muscle groups. Like isometric stuff is really good as well for certain things. Like I think isometrics is great for your core and your posture and shit. Like if you lie down on the ground and you make a V, or it's like, you know, if you're making a V, you're pretty good. But like you lie down on the ground and lift your legs up and lift your hands, like have your hands like going straight, where like your elbows are like level with your fucking ears and stuff, like, you know, that fucking wrecks your core. We used to do that in kickboxing. Some of the kickbox, like, that's what I was saying the other day. Martial arts training is so good for you. It hurts like a cunt, especially when you're starting. But like you get to a stage where, like I love the feeling where you feel a muscle group that you either haven't felt in a while or you've never felt before. Because like I'd say most people have like a fairly shit, what would you call it? Mind-body connection, where they can actually feel like every muscle group in their body, and they can actually, you know, contract every muscle group in the body. Like most people, like, you know, I couldn't do that originally, where you just sit there and you just tense your pecs and stuff. I still find it kind of difficult depending on my posture, like, you know. But a few months of doing like pull-ups and dips and shit, like, and you end up doing it, like, you know. And that's one thing that I really enjoy, is feeling the connection, where like you can really feel it. There's no numbness, there's no tension, there's no nothing, like, you know. And it's like I've felt what it feels like to be like quite healthy and strong. I remember what that feels like. Now I'm all stiff and like, you know, hunched over and dehydrated and all these things. And it's like, so it the hardest thing about any of this shit, like trying to live life properly, whether it's like your diet or your physicality or your spirituality or your mental health or any of these things, consistency is the biggest bitch. It's like you could your average person probably do something for like, you know, a few days. And like I've done this, you know, new habit, what am I going to do? And you do it for like 3 days and then you just stop. Like, oh, you do it for 3 days and you're like, this is way harder than I thought it was going to be. Like, you know, you need to get to like 3 months. That's what I've heard. Some people say 3 weeks, but I think 3 months is where something is just like locked in. It's almost like muscle memory now. And it's like almost hard to get rid of then. Which is like, that's the stage you want to get to, where like, you know, ultimately, if you want to stop smoking or something, like you want to get to the stage where like, you don't want to be where like, if somebody sparks up a cigarette, or even on a TV show, let alone in front of you, you don't want to be at the stage where you're like, oh, and you're like you're like clenching your knees and like gripping stuff tightly, because the cravings are still there and all, and it's like, oh god, I really want one. Like I miss them. I miss that fucking feeling and shit. Like, and I know people would say it's like, yeah, but it's like biomechanics and biology and all that shit. Like that feeling's always going to be there and stuff. It's like, no, you can like totally change yourself drastically if you just like choose to. But it is difficult. It's not easy, like, you know. Because I've done that, like, even with stuff with, like, taste buds and shit. Like, I used to just not like bananas, and now I really enjoy them. It's really weird how you can just, like, fucking... Like, free will grants you the ability to just, like, carve whatever kind of you want out of you. It's just depending on the stats you start with, it's going to be more difficult to do certain things. You know, if you're naturally good at this, you're naturally shit at this, but you want to be a master at the thing that you're shit at, it'll take you more effort than somebody who's just naturally good at that shit. So, like, looking at life like it's a fucking role-playing video game is, like, really helpful. Because it's very succinct. And it's a really, like, it's almost like a one-to-one thing, like. It's hilarious. I love marmalade. I fucking love marmalade, man. Marmalade's delicious. It's got that tang to it and all, like. But don't get me wrong, it is weird to put, like, what is essentially sugary orange puree on toast. Like, especially with butter. Like, I used to turn around to my ma. She'd be like, "What you want for lunch?" And I'd be like, "Can I get pasta, tuna, and potato?" And she's like, "You want pasta, tuna, and potatoes?" I'm like, "Yeah." Because my brain is just like, I like this one, I like this one, I like that one. Put them all in a bowl, give it to me. Like, I'm such a, like, in that regard, like, I am, like, weird in, like, certain ways where I'm just like, I think is it linear thinking, like, or some shit like that, or like where my brain is just like, that's why I'd say I'm probably, like, people would be like, "Oh, he's autistic" or some shit, like, because, like, my brain just goes and just goes and goes and goes and goes, like, just doesn't stop once I, like, open the tap, like. And, like, even as a kid it was like that, where, like, I want this, like, this, like, I was wide-eyed and I was, like, defiant. And I was decisive, you know? Like, I very rarely was like, I don't know, I don't know. I was always like, I want that. Like, because I'd always be looking around, you know? Like, sometimes I look like a little psycho. I look like the fucking Omen child in some of the old children photos. Like, oh my god, there's one photo of me where I have this, like, big grin on my face and all, like, I look like a fucking Omen child. And everybody used to walk in, like, I had loads of these moments where people would come to my house for the first time in my, like, teenage years, like, most of my teenage years, even some, like, early 20s. My friends would come over, or new people would come to the house and all, like, and there was just this picture of me in the sitting room, like, I was like fucking 8 or something. The fucking photographer was like, "Say sausages," and I was like, "Hey," you know, like, big dimples on me and all, like I was a cute kid, like, you know. But you could see the glint in my eye of, like, I want to burn things and fuck shit up, like, because I did do that, like, I, like, stole shit, set things on fire, like. So, like, I think I said this story before. My godmother gave me, like, a little, like, keyring thing that was actually, like, an army knife, like a proper military little, like, it was a tiny version of, like, the Rambo knife, you know, a mean little thing. Like, it was fucking sharp, and it was made of decent steel, and it was just this little keyring, like, knife. And I was a child. I was, like, fucking 9 or something, and she gives this to me. And I might have been younger. I think I might have been 5 or 6. Because all I remember is, like, I got a hold of this thing and I, like, started doing stuff. I was like, "Oh, this is really sharp." And I started just cutting everything. Fucking everything. And my dad came home one day and he was like, "It's like we got a dog. What the fuck?" Because, like, all the chairs and the table in the kitchen literally looked like somebody had, like, gnawed upon it like a beaver or something, had, like, tried to eat our table and chairs in the kitchen, like. And I'm just standing there with a tiny little Rambo knife. But I was like, this fucking kid, like, like, I know, like, my dad, like, fucked me up in a few ways, like, you know what I mean? But, like, I can only... It was probably, like, my behavior was probably a result of, like, his fucked up parenting. But, I mean, like, I'm trying to take accountability for when I was, like, a child. Like, that's a bit stupid, but still, it's hilarious. I was a fucking demon. Like, what's this? Oh, it's sharp. Stab, 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 slice, slice, slice. Like, everything. I, like, that's what it is. Like, I don't have an off switch, you know? I didn't have, like, an internal... I'm like a moth to a flame. That's probably a psychotic trait. Like, I don't know. Like, once I'm on a fucking... I just go. It's like, that is... Yeah, he'll be good for, like... It's like that scene in Ace Ventura where they're in the mental institute and he's like, beep, halftime. boom, and like loafs the fucking sofa and just stays there. And then Courtney Cox just looks at the doctor and is like, he'll be good there for like the next 45 minutes or something. And they just walk away, and he's just like, his hair's all mad. He's wearing a tutu and fucking big leather boots. Oh man, that's one of my favorite parts of that movie. Beep, halftime. Da 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 da. It's because he sees what like the the name of that room. It's like the storage room or some shit, and he just slams his head into the fucking sofa. Like, that's what I'm like. It's like that vibe of her turning around, being like, yeah, he'll be good there for like 45 minutes. Like my grandparents and my parents used to do that. And one time I like choked on a sweet. I'll have to tell this, right? It's fucking gas. It's a bit traumatizing, but like it's hilarious looking back. Like, they used to just leave me alone, cause like I was fine. I wouldn't like. Sure, I'd like, you'd come in. I was like that kid on the, you know, that fucking clip of the baby that went viral a few years ago, where it's just, you just see the baby and it's like covered in peanut butter. And then the person with the camera is like, is that nice? And the baby's just like, like covered in fucking peanut butter. I was kind of like that. Like, you could just give me something and just leave me alone for like hours. I know most kids are very similar, but like I was like, you know, a 10 out of 10 in that in that aspect, for that attribute of just being able to self-entertain for hours, you know. I would eventually get bored and come looking for people, but only if I was like hungry or something. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I'd literally just be like, so what's for dinner or something, like, you know. I wouldn't be, you know, I'm lonely around. Like, you could just leave me on my own with fuck all. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, just a tiny penknife and fucking wreak havoc. Like, but I was on my own in the sitting room in my grandparents' house, watching cartoons, eating these like Mentos candy things, and I was like playing with my toys, and they were all in the kitchen. And the Mentos little things that I was like, they were like chewable. They weren't the minty ones. It was the Mentos chewable, like multicolored flavored things. And I just really, like, you know, they were delicious. I really liked the taste of like the strawberry ones and stuff, like. So I was just milling these thing out of it, like, and I think about, you know, I probably had like 3 or 4 where I'd pop them in, chew, like really quickly. I was wolfing them down. And when I went to pop one of them in, I just like shot it down the back of my mouth, like right in there. And immediately I was like, so like for about I don't know, 10-15 seconds, they're all in the kitchen, and unbeknownst to them, I'm just like in the sitting room choking on a Mentos. And then it became apparent to me. I was like, oh shit, I can't solve this problem on my own. Because like for a couple of seconds I was just like trying to swallow it, or like trying to, like, you know, get it back up or whatever. Like, and then I was like, oh no, I'm fucked. So I like kind of just, I didn't even like sprint into the kitchen. I kind of just like waddled into the kitchen, kind of being like, like just trying to breathe. And then I walk into the kitchen, I'm just standing there like, and they were all like facing that direction except me nan. Me nan was facing the door. And she took one look at me, she was like, Derek, he can't breathe. And they like picked me up, gave me the Heimlich, and it came out, and I was fine. It was grand, like. But it was just so funny looking back that they're all just chilling in the kitchen talking, and they're like, "I'd be grand." He's in the sitting room, like. And then, like, at some point, I just strolled in, and was like, like, I'm dying. Help me. Like, oh fuck. The wonders of the early years. It was some funny shit, like. Oh shit. Hold on, I need to catch up on chat. Ah, Iron Man Burrow in the house. Not that romantic. I'm gonna need an income soon. Yeah, it is how it is. Gotta make that money. It's so depressing knowing the truth these days. Yes, but once you get over it, it's hilarious. Once you get over the depression and like you look at the big picture, you know. Oh, Owen says something that I quite like, where it's like, it wouldn't happen if God didn't allow it to happen. Like, you know, I do kind of believe in this whole grand game, that this is like the same way America is like an experiment away from the old system where it was all kings and the church and shit. Like, you know, like America was like, we want to rule ourselves. I think it's something similar. I think this is a game between like two divine entities or something, where maybe like one entity made the other entity, and it's like a test or something. Because the whole Lucifer story does make a lot of sense, where like he makes all these entities and they're like perfect pretty much in like their own way, in a lot of different ways, like Lucifer and Michael and all these like angels and shit. There's like a, you know, an angelic orchestra in the sky, it's the stars, all this stuff, like. And one of them is like, I could be like you, I could do your job. And all of this is essentially him going, okay, give it a shot, but like these are the rules, and if you fail, like, you know, there's going to be consequences. And it, like that kind of that feels true. That feels very true. That it's all just basically like a test. And I do subscribe to the concept that, like, I think we choose to come here. Like, obviously, I could be wrong, but like, I have a weird feeling that we choose to come here. And in the process of coming here, like, we agree to the contract of, you realize that once we do this, your memory will be wiped and you will be inserted here. In like, you know, you will be born in this moment to this family to blah blah, and you will live this life or whatever. Like, but you're not gonna remember anything, so like, it's gonna be genuine. Because if you remembered choosing to come here, it wouldn't be the same. I said this there the other day, like, you know. Um, well, it was standard practice at the time. We could learn a thing or two. Hard times create strong men. Yeah, like, I really think, to kind of paraphrase an old interview of Conor McGregor when he was like, when he was coming up, and I I I liked being like, look at that lad, like, he's, you know, he's from fucking Crumlin and he's crushing it, like, instead of being like, oh no, not that embarrassment. Um, he was talking about how learning martial arts and learning the discipline of martial arts teaches you things you can't learn otherwise, and it's applicable in every aspect of your life, and it's so true, so true. It keeps you practicing martial arts, disciplines your mind, disciplines your body, and like, you could say, disciplines your spirit in many ways. Um, and like, it is very difficult. Like, speaking from experience, it's very difficult to just be your own, to do all of it yourself. You know, coming from someone who does, like, my father's not in my life. It's not like we have a we just don't have a relationship because of how everything went down. I don't, like, you know, we don't hate each other. I don't think he hates me. I doubt it. And I don't hate him. But like, not having a father and not having somebody who's kind of like there, being like, how are things, you know, what are you doing now, like, you know, did you do that, did you remember to do this, like, how's, you know, blah, like, someone like a mentor, a teacher, a father figure. um it's much more difficult, but because I know what it's like to have one and not have one. I've experienced, it's weird, I'm quite blessed in that regard, that I've experienced two different, like, um the yin and the yang of life. The first like 14 odd years of my life was like totally normal and good and full of like nice shit, and then like a good 14 odd years of the total opposite. You know, there was still like loads of times where I enjoyed myself, and You know, there's good memories and stuff like that. Like, but like overall, it was destructive, hedonistic. You know, like all of these things that now in my 30s for the last like 7 odd years, and it lines up. I did get around like around the time I hit 25 was when I just naturally kind of started to be like, what the fuck? And just had this like innate desire to just be better and have a better life and like things be better in general, you know? It's weird. Owen is like climbing a mountain. Maybe people need to find him on their own. Yeah, like, you know, like, I've thought about that where I'm like, people come to the stream and I'm talking about Owen and being a bear and all, and they're like, oh, what's that? And then they go, and then they come back here and they're like, he's fucking like crazy, like, you know what I mean? Like, fuck you and all, like, you know, but like, I don't care about, it's kind of like the whole, like, you know, we'll get their best and they'll get the worst kind of thing. It's like, if that happens, it happens, like, but like, like, the least I could do is promote the guy who was like, you know, been a big part of my life the last few years in many ways, you know. Consuming his content has had an impact on everything. And the least I could do was shout him out, like I wish I had the money to send people stuff that because like it's so expensive typically. Sometimes it's not. If you do it on paper, it's not that bad, but it's still fairly expensive to post people art and stuff. Because the amount of things I've wanted to paint for Owen that I thought would be cool, like, you know, like him as a bear doing something, or like, you know, like the last thing I did from the board, the Noble Savage thing, is that screenshot of him for Noble Savage where he's got the mic out like that, but I just did him as a bear, and I put a gravy ladle in his hand, in the offhand, and I just put Noble Savage on it. I was cool looking, and I just did it in my spare time, and like, you know, I didn't get paid for it, and nobody asked me to do it, but like, I like doing that shit, but it does cost me, you know, and I've got like no money, so like, but like, there is definitely a truth to like, when you do shit for the sake of doing shit because it's good to do shit, shit just happens. I know that to be true. Which is one of the reasons why I've kept doing the stream, you know, because like, people enjoy it, people want me to do it, people are like disappointed when I don't do it, so I don't want to disappoint people, so I'm gonna keep doing it, and I like doing it. His last two streams had me rolling on the floor. Hilarious movie comedy. Oh man, really funny. I'm catching up on the fucking Raiders of the Lost Ark one at the moment. Really funny shit. He's said some fucking hilarious shit in the last while. Like, there was a stream he was doing lately. It's only like last week or something, and he was talking. It was about the Virgin Mary statues and all, like, and how they all look like vaginas. And one of the I think he was doing a song, and he was like, "This statue smells like yeast." I fucking, like, that broke me for a while. I think I was just chilling, like, playing. Somebody has a painful PEINTEINGU! Glorious! Give me a second. It fucking broke me. Like, this is the middle of a song. Was he doing it as Ira? I can't remember. And he's just like, "This statue smells like yeast." Oh, fucking, that really caught me back. Like, that one time where I was having a shower and I had him on the Bluetooth speaker, and it was around, I think it was just after the Jort Wars had like kind of started to die down, and somebody asked him what would happen if Curtis Stone and Jim Bob met in person. And he's like, I don't know, they'd probably just fuck. I was just listening to him talking about whatever, like, and I wasn't even really paying attention, like, do you know what I mean? Like having a shower, like, just have him on as background noise. And then I just heard that somebody sent me a super chat or something. It's like, what do you think? What do you think would happen if Jim Bob and Squirtus like teamed up or whatever? And he's like, I don't fucking know. Probably just fuck. Oh man, like he is the funniest when he's a little bit annoyed and he's trying to like. It's kind of like Eminem. You get the best shit out of him when he's being a bit mean. When he's like kind of got the whole like, do you know what? Fuck you, okay? I'm gonna and like starts like ripping into like roasting. That's where Owen Benjamin shines, is roasting, where he's like, do you know what? Fuck you. I fucking blah 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 blah, and like he will just say some of the funniest fucking shit. Like, oh, it was fucking brilliant. Like I had the window open and all. The neighbor definitely heard me. Like I was literally in the shower with my hand up against the wall, like like fucking dying. Like you just don't get that anymore in the mainstream, like, or at least like you haven't in years. You might start seeing it now, like starting to come back, like some proper funny shit, like. But like Owen's been the only one really that has been able to produce like a proper fucking I'm crying belly laugh in me the past like easily the past like 10, 15 even years. Like I used to sit there watching Comedy Store and Comedy Central and Live at the Apollo for the UK humor and stuff like that. I used to sit there watching that stuff all the time, all the replays, all the new stuff, and I witnessed stand-up comedy just get cut off at the balls. It's because one of my favourite ones was Frankie Boyle, the Scottish comedian on Mock the Week, the TV show Mock the Week. Frankie Boyle on Mock the Week in the first 6 seasons is some of the funniest fucking shit you will ever fucking hear. Now, as an American, you probably wouldn't get a lot of it because, like, he talks about English politics and English, like, you know, because he's Scottish. So it's Scottish English humour, but he talks, because he's so big into geopolitics, he takes a piss out of a lot of American shit too, like Lady Gaga and Kanye and all. Like, do you know, like he said some of the funniest fucking shit, some really disgusting dark stuff as well, very blue humor, like, you know, or even gallows humor and shit, like, but just brilliant stuff, like stuff that's just really fucking funny, stuff that would like hit you like a fucking brick in the face and really produce laughter. And then the mainstream just, you're not allowed to say that, you're not allowed to say this, don't insult this person, don't insult the Jews, don't insult the blacks, don't insult the no. And it was one of the things that like made me really depressed, was witnessing that the agreed upon social, was it the status quo of my time, was that nobody was allowed to be funny. Like really funny, you know? You can only be fake funny, or like funny, like for kids kind of funny. And it wasn't even that funny then. Like, they ruin, like when you ruin something like that, when you tell people that they can't express themselves genuinely, in that kind of aspect in society, like, man, fucking start the clock. Do you know what I mean? That's when you fucking look at the fucking, like, the doomsday clock, like, because that's so, you know, it's like, you may as well put somebody in a cage, you may as well put them in a work camp or whatever, like, and be a tyrant and all, like, saying that, like, convincing people, brainwashing people, just over decades, you can't say nigger, you can't, like, whatever about calling a black a nigger, like, you fucking, like, you know, because that's what they used to do, is the white trash American hick who just happens to be fucking Nazi and all this shit. So I was like, niggers, like, you know, American History X, all this shit, fucking propaganda. That's all it was, blatant propaganda. Be like, you need to feel bad about something you had nothing to do with. It's like, what? This is ridiculous. So fucking stupid. And when you start adhering, like, legislatively and lawfully and socially, when you start adhering to utter fucking nonsense, you end up with the last 15 fucking years of like the way everything is gone. It's fucking ridiculous. Anyway, this is epic waffle. And that comment was made about half an hour ago. Excellent, Defenderoo. I don't know what I did or what I said that was excellent, but I agree. I'm going to do some iso back exercises once I'm out of hell. Yeah, the isometrics are great for you. Horse stance is fucking great for your back. The Shaolin Mabu. Deep squat. Like as deep as you can go and sustain for a few minutes. And hands forward. And try and like you don't want to kind of go like this. Like you can like if when you feel the stretch. Sometimes I do that and like I can feel the stretch and I'm like oh, and it'll go click click click. But typically you want to go as low as you can, feet out wide, past your shoulders, feet forward like you're doing a box splits, and drop your hips and drop like try and go below your waistline. So your knees. Like your thighs are actually pointing upwards. You want to get really fucking low. And even doing that alone will like totally open up your lower back, your glutes, your fucking everything like. And then you put the hands forward. And when you put the hands forward and hold them out there and maintain that, man, the way it wakes up your middle back and your fucking traps and everything. Because like you're essentially, you're holding your body up in a way that forces the in-between points of all the major muscle groups to like biomechanically turn on. Where it's like you're only going to be able to maintain this body position for an extended period of time if all of these muscles are strong and healthy. So that's what it feels like to me when I'm doing it anyway. Like I'd be into about like 20 minutes and certain parts of me are stiff, certain parts of me are numb, certain parts of me like I can feel the tension and it's trying to like you get that wobble where like it literally feels like like it's fascinating how like we are kind of like biological machines because like there's times where I can feel a nerve or a muscle group that's caught on something and being able to relax and breathe and use your mind to go in and feel that part, really feel it, and then consciously make it relax. Like, getting good at that is fucking, like I've been doing the Qigong for, like, a while now, probably about 7 years. It's funny, I've been doing the Qigong for about the same amount of time that I've been watching Owen, because I started doing a lot of that shit around the same time, trying to, like, turn my life around in ways. And the Qigong is fucking so good for like those, that's what I was saying, the small muscles, because you have everybody knows about biceps, triceps, quads, glutes, like, the big muscles, like, but there's all this like interconnecting muscle groups and tissue and fascia and all that. Like, I didn't know about the fascia. Like, I didn't know there's like another layer in between everything that like holds everything together, and it's like connected to your nervous system and shit. Like, but once you start becoming aware of it, when you do stuff like this with your body, it's like instinctual. It reminds you of how you were when you were a child, where like you didn't have any of these like, oh, my shoulder's stiff, or like my neck is stiff, or like, my hamstrings are a bit stiff, or like none of that. Like you start to feel like your whole body is switched on, like it's all able to be used the way it's supposed to be able to be used at any given moment. But it's a bit grueling and difficult. It's a bit grueling and difficult, especially the way I do it, where like I'll do stuff for a few weeks consistently and then I won't, and then I get all fucking stiff and tense again and shit, like, and it can be brutal. But like, that's the other part of it as well, is disciplining your mind of like, oh, this is uncomfortable or even painful. And it's like, okay, so, do you know what I mean? It's like, Because you'll think I should stop. Why? Because this is starting to hurt. It's not just sore. You know, it doesn't just feel like a muscle like stretching. It's starting to feel like pain, not just like there's a like for anybody who does exercise or whatever like that. Like you can feel the difference between like, oh yeah, oh that feels good. It's kind of like sex, like, do you know what I mean? Where you're like, there's a certain level of discomfort, but there's like a different kind of feeling there where you can feel the muscle opening, and you can feel the blood flowing. And if you're like me, the numbness in certain areas goes away. So like the thing with isometrics is you don't get as much of that because you're just like holding a position. So like some parts of you will like go numb, and then, like I said, you'll have to kind of just like try and relax and breathe back into the position or something, because like if you try too hard, like you probably just end up hurting yourself. Like, you know, the whole point of doing something like horse dance is actually to relax. That's what makes it so difficult, but it's also what makes it so fascinating in a mental way, where like you're trying to just tell your body for like 15, 20 minutes, 40 minutes if you're like me and you've been doing it a few years and you really want to get a like fucking intense sweat on. Like there's times where I'm doing it for a while and like I can feel parts of my spine that I haven't felt in ages, and I feel something pop, and then it feels like somebody's injected water into me sometimes. It's so weird, where I can feel a section of my back or like deep in the recesses of my armpit or my shoulder, really like on the inside deep, and then it just feels like an explosion of like cool liquid, and I'm assuming it's just like blood entering a pocket that it hasn't been in a while. Like that's it. Like I'd say that's one of the things that like results in cancer and stuff, is like all these small little intricate tunnels in your body get filled with gunk, you know. And like that sort, like, sure, going to the gym and just like benching for a while and going like pump, and then leaving is good. I'm not saying it's bad, but like I'm much more into the martial arts aspect of like the holistic being your body. Like Tai Chi is great, where you try to do these really slow, graceful movements, and like the difference between that and it's like do a punch, all right, you're doing it wrong, fix your technique, and it's all fast, you know. It's just like bang, it's done. Okay, well, like it was a bit off there, do it again. Like with the slow shit, it's like you could just do this, and then your mentor would be like, start again. You'd be like, what? You know, like, or if you're watching it like I am on a YouTube thing, like it's really hard to smoothly and gracefully do some of these body movements. Like especially just like lifting your leg up and putting it in front of you and then putting it back down. Doing it like as slow as you can. Most people can't even lift their leg up and straighten it out. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I couldn't believe that statistic. And maybe it isn't true, I don't know, but like there's a part of me that would totally believe it. That's something stupid, like it's like 1% of the population of the world practices martial arts. And I would believe that, like, do you know what I mean? Like because like most people aren't physically fit, let alone train martial arts, because there's people who are athletic, but then there's people who train martial arts, and it's a different level of fitness, you know, if it's real. You have people who are like, you know, oh, I do Aikido and whatever, and they have a fucking belly on them. Like, I'm talking about the lads who have been doing Muay Thai for fucking like 15 years. Do you know what I mean? That nigga can have a beer belly on him, and like you just see all the fucking like Buddhist temple tattoos on his back and shit, and you're just like, that nigga can throw down. How dare you? Here, take my money. Call me a bundle of sticks. Just living in a Canada puts me in forever gay away. It's because it just said HDY. I didn't know who it was. How dare you? Here, take my money. Call me a bundle of sticks, sticks, will you? Call me a bundle of sticks, will you? I love it when something is typed correctly and you can get the vibe off. Like, just living in Canada puts me in a forever gay away. Fucking right, it does. What's the point in Canada? Why, like, the only reason yous are up there in Canada is because two reasons. Yous are faggots, and the second reason, you got banished, and it's because of the first reason. You got banished because you're faggots. The amount of people that would be, like, so offended by that. Like, the fuck, bad, like. Oh, God. I was getting good progress with training. I feel it's wasted now, god damn it. Yeah, but like fucking, you know, maybe this injury and the time off and all is what you needed to, like, you know, you need to reassess and see, like, take a different direction. My back is broke and doctors tried to fix it, but now my spine nerve is pinched and I'm always in pain and don't know when legs are going to go out with me. That isn't all. Oh shit, Margie. Your back's not the best. That's shit. Telling you, Tai Chi. Great for old people. Great for old people. That's what they get all the old people to do in fucking Japan and China and all. It's Tai Chi. Slow, deliberate movements. Just take it easy. Do it for like half an hour a day. Probably make it a world of difference. And is that like from an old injury, or like did something happen recently, or like, did you fall down the stairs or some shit? Like, how come your back, like, your back is broken and there's a pinched nerve? Like, that sounds pretty bad. What you do? Fall off a horse? Ketchup is basically marmalade. I said, no, it's not. Like, I get where you're coming from. They're both sauces or like spreadable. You don't spread ketchup. Like, ketchup is basically marmalade. Like, I like where your head's at. Like, that's such a masculine thing to say. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like, I am kind of like in those moments where you've got like fuck all food in the house. And it's like, oh no, we're out of marmalade. Like, you know, just put ketchup on it. Ew, what? Like, no, it's like, that's the same thing. Like, you know, a kind of survivalist attitude where it's like, what's the difference? It's just a thing you put on the thing to change the flavor. Just eat the food. You know, like, I used to use a chef knife to stab the kitchen wall because the knife would stick a little bit. I found out I was stabbing a gas pipe. Oh my god. Just dealing with the frustrations of life. You fucking mother. Oh shit. Like, you leave the knife in it. Go away. Smoke. Have a cigarette. Drink some wine. And then you come back into the room and you're like, what's that smell? Like, that's what I say. Choose your parents wisely. Do you know what your problem is? You chose terrible parents. Once I win the lottery, you will see a huge truck filled with protein powder and silver driving up your street. That'd be the funniest thing ever. Just like, Jesus, lads, there's like a fucking truck backing up the road here and all, like, and it just has like Biolab on the side of it, like, and then I hear the doorbell ring and I'm like, hold on a minute, like, the female's not here, I have to answer the door. I come back with like a velvet pillow that has like a stack of silver on it. Some guy called Jeeves just handed me this. What the fuck? Like, I don't know what's going on. Oh, that'd be amazing. If somebody turned around to me and was like, we have given you a lifetime supply of protein powder, I think I'd start crying. Like, oh, I never have to make rice again, thank fuck. Like, I started doing that for a while where I was like, I just need filler. I just need to increase my caloric intake. Obviously, I'm not putting on weight because my caloric intake, I don't have a surplus, you know? That's obviously what it is. I drink so much coffee, my brain burns. Like, so I'm very active. I think a lot and all this fucking shit, and I do a lot of physical shit. I drink a fuck ton of coffee and I smoke a lot. So I'm gonna have to eat a metric fuck ton of potatoes to stick on some weight, like, because I did feel like, I mean, it helped obviously that it was strawberry flavor and it was absolutely delicious. But every time I had the shake, I was like, oh, it kind of, you feel similar when you have a steak, or I do anyway. I feel similar when I have a nice steak, and I'm just like, yeah. I don't get that from like chicken or whatever, and it probably, maybe I'm just low on iron. I don't know. I have the time or the money to fucking go to some fucking asshole who, you know, thinks they know some shit about health. Like, I don't trust like Western medicine at all. Like, I would trust a trauma surgeon to save my life if I got shot or something. Like, do you know what I mean? That, or stabbed or whatever. Like, that's about it. I trust them enough to sew me up. That's about, like, I trust them enough to put the bits back in the right order and sew me up. That's as far as my faith in the Western medicine goes. It's Frankenstein shit. Like, I've heard all sorts, like, do you know what I mean? That you can, like, do stuff to the body to make the bones, like, malleable, and then, like, just regrow shit and reset stuff. I've heard mad shit, like old cultures used to know how to do what we would call magic, but it's actually alchemy. It's just like this ingredient mixed with this ingredient creates this reaction. You leave it for X amount of time, and then you take that off and you put some of this on, and then you leave that for X. It's all just cooking. It's all alchemy. It's all just manipulation. You manipulate the environment around you, and it does stuff. Which is where I'm like, you know, how much trial and error? Like, is it a Prometheus thing where we were just like handed like knowledge? Or have we been around so long and like there's been so many cycles of like empire fall, empire fall, empire fall, like, and knowledge is gained and lost again, and then like I'd say that's pretty much what it is just like cycle, of just like civilization crash, and like each one is different because we don't remember everything all the time, and it's not even about like, oh, we've got collective amnesia, like, you know, because God has been hidden from us or some shit. It's like, no, we literally just don't remember. Because, like, there was only 50 dudes who actually knew how to make the shit. The rest of us just used it. It's the same now. It's like nobody knows how to make a fucking iPhone. You just have one. So, like, how many people in the realm that are alive right now actually know how to, from scratch, make an iPhone? Probably no one. Like, there might be like a handful of people in the whole world who know how to get the resources and then process those resources, and then like raw materials, and then like build the components, and then arrange the components in the right order to produce an iPhone. Like, one person, there's probably like maybe like fucking, I'm being generous here, 20 people in the whole world who could do that, who could like get raw materials, and like you would have to have like insane engineering knowledge, insane alchemical knowledge, insane fucking like, and it's insane to us because we're ignorant, but it's probably like once you know the basics, like it's probably not actually that advanced. It's like, oh, you just need some gold, some silver, some silicon, some, you know, this, that, and the other. This goes here. These need to be this big, so on and so forth. Like, it's like a painting. You know, it's like that's how I see it. It's like you just need to put the right color in the right place and make the right shape with it. Like, that's all it is. It's just paint by numbers. But there's no numbers. That's all it is. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like, oh, but there's no numbers. I don't know where to put the paint. But like, that's what it is. You just put it in, just look at the thing. Now look at the thing. Like, but that's what like imagination is for. Is like, I don't actually need to see it. I can just close my eyes and I can see shit. Which is like, what the fuck is that about? Like, how does that work? Like, how does our mind's eye work? Like, how come I can go like this and I can see a chainsaw, I can see a hammer, I can see a naked lady? Like, I'm just naming the shit that came into my mind. The first three things that came into my imagination were chainsaw, hammer, naked bitch. Oh, this I can only imagine what a psychiatrist would do with that. Hold on, the first thing. I swear to God, it's like hitting a fucking roulette. No, what are they called? The fucking slot machines. I can do that. Like there, scissors, kite, paper airplane. Like I don't know. It's like you just bing, 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 bing. Like you guys can't do that. Like I know. Like I can imagine that people wouldn't be able to do that. I've fucking turned around to the female one time. I was like, picture a box, and she's like, okay, and I'm like, are you there yet? Like, you know, and it's a fucking like, she, you know, what kind of box or whatever? Just a box. Just picture a box. Like, is it a cardboard box? Is it fucking like? I find it hard to believe, but like I suppose, like yeah, there's some retards out there, but like I can't imagine what it would be like to not be able to do that. So that maybe yeah, like I'm just like an arrogant dickhead because I have no idea how grateful I should be for this gift I have. But maybe it's also that just loads of people who are just broken and retarded now. There is no link, Denmark. No, there's no link here for Owen's thing. No, there's links here for my shit. I was saying that, like, I've thought about that. I've thought about putting a link to Owen's shit there. Oh, excuse me. But yeah, OwenBenjamin.com. That'll get you started. That's where his comedy things are and all. Like, if you want to watch it, Rumble, go to Rumble. Actually, Rumble is basically a different version of YouTube. It's basically the same shit. RUMBLE, and then just type in Owen Benjamin, and I don't know if all of his shit is there, but like loads of his shit is there. His most recent shit is there, and you can just go on Rumble and watch it. You know, you don't need to like sign up or anything. Like, I think that's like I think that's a good model. You know. Because you could argue that like how many hours of painting have I done now? Like, could you imagine if I was like employed by a network? Man, I'd be fucking minted. With how many because like TV shows were like half an hour, 40 minutes, maybe an hour, you know. And how much would they get paid for like just one episode and all the makeup and the production and all this fucking shit like. And I come on here and sometimes, like, the longest time I've done is like 5 hours or something, wasn't it? I think that was the longest PEINTEINGU stream I did, was like 4 or 5 hours. That's ridiculous. Like, it's not easy, like, do you know what I mean? Like I kind of have an advantage because like it's very similar to like improv drama. And I liked drama in school. I did, like, when I was in primary school, I was in the drama class and shit like that. I loved that. I was the main character in a few plays because I was mental. People love my energy, you know, because I get into it. I enjoy it, like, you know, and people feel that, like, look at this mad bastard. I like making people laugh, like, you know. So like it's not as difficult for me to do this as it would be for other people, you know. It's like Owen has said before. It's like a lot. Like, I actually never thought of this because I don't have it. Same as him. That like the overwhelming sense of fear that most people would get if you just put them in front of a camera, and they're like, you know, There's 2 million people watching you right now. You know, they just freeze or whatever. Like if that, like, there's six viewers, right? If that was on 10,000, I would still be talking to you guys. Like, you know, like, I would just be talking to the group that we have. I wouldn't change the way I'm doing this to be like, oh no, there's 10 million people here. Like, shit. Like, how do I behave? It's like, no, it'd still just be me. And then I'd look at the thing and be like, ha, no way. You serious? How many people is watching me right now? Hi, everybody. Like, and then would just go back to what I was talking about. Like, you know. Owen's so right. I think it's because people are like, they're afraid of, like, okay, this is what's in my mind. If I say what's in my mind, and then I say that, and then people are like, oh my god, it's fucked up. Like, the people won't like me. Trust me, you don't, like, there's so many people out there that you don't want to like you. Like, that's the reality of it. Like, that there is, like, so many people out there in the realm that I like if I met them and then they were like, I fucking hate you, I'd be like, I'm delighted, I'm so glad you hate me. You know, like, unless it's the type of hate where they're, like, obsessed with you, you know. Typically you want somebody to hate you where they, like, want nothing to do. Like, that's how I work. If I really don't like you, you're not in my life. You know, like, you have these fucking lunatics that are like, I hate you so much, I'm gonna watch you every day. Like, what the fuck? That doesn't make any sense. Like, look at him. Like, these people are crazy. Why would you spend your day doing that? Like, oh, like, don't get me wrong, I know, like, a lot, it's like they do that because it gets them money. Like, I get it. But then there are the ones that, like, you know, are, like, in a really bad way, physically, mentally, financially. Like, just their life is shit, and they'll, like, hone in on somebody like Owen. Like, that fucking, what's that Liz Antoinette bitch? That is that Australian cunt. And, like, she has a thing on Rumble. And I went there one time and look, I was like, oh my god. It's like, it's such a, it was like a, like, if there's loads of rabbit holes everywhere and it's just holes in a field, and you went into that little rabbit hole, it's like fucking a foot deep. It's not that big. Like, do you know what I mean? However long she's been watching Owen or whatever, like, but, oh my god, the shit it's full of, like, there's just, like, the titles of the videos, the fact that they're, like, an hour long a lot of the time, and you're just like, what are you talking about? Like, what the fuck? This person's fucking nuts, like. And then think about that. Think about how much storage space. Think about how much bandwidth. Think about how much breath. Let alone, leave the digital and the electricity alone for it. Think about how much breath, granted to us by the gods, is wasted with all these assholes speaking all this shit, all the lying, all the grifting, all the fucking deceptioning, all the deceiving, all the manipulation. Like, they do. It's an insult to God. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, if you want to get really, like, spiritual and dogmatic about it, like, if I was to get Space Marine about this shit, it'd be like, you are insulting the divine by lying. How dare you? Like, but that's, like, you know, that's how you become a priest. like, I am the arbiter of morality. Why? Because I'm wearing the hat and the cape and not you. Like, the symbol on the ring, kiss it. You know, like that. I remember when Owen pointed that out, I was like, fuck yeah, they kissed the thing. Because, like, I was never religious, like, so, like, a lot of the shit I wouldn't pay attention to or forget or see it fleetingly and wouldn't, like, really think about it or give it a lot of thought. And when he pointed out that, like, you'd be there, like, you're a man and you're of your wife and you kiss the ring that this old man is wearing, and so does your wife. So you both, like, submit in a fairly like humiliating way to the symbol, which is idolatry in a sense, you know. Oh, this symbolizes our faith. Graven images, all this fucking shit. It's like, no, that's just like, don't draw Jesus. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, thou shalt not kill makes no sense. Graven images makes no sense. Because it's like, so we're supposed to just be fucking grey aliens and have all of our fucking information in our head and speak it and not write anything down, not draw anything, like nothing. It's the same with the Muslims. No music! It's like, there is a difference between not tolerating something that is bad and degenerate or whatever, and then banning something that is like fundamental. No music, you're an idiot. No images, you're an idiot. Like, you're basically, that is the weak position. We need to ban this. Why? Because we can't handle it. Like, not like, again, with the discipline. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like, why are you banning something from your community or your society when you're, it's like the victim thing with the Jews. It's like, oh, they get us addicted to porn. Really? Do they? They get you addicted to porn, or is it you that gets you addicted to porn? Like, you fucking amoeba. Like, so it's the same fucking shit. It's like, oh, we can't have any music. Why? Because those people over there play a certain kind of music and it gets me really horny and I do horrible shit. And it's like, but that's your fault. Like, why are we gonna make it? Why are we gonna write not just a law? You're gonna write it into your faith, into your belief system. That's even worse, because the laws appeal to the divine. It's like, well, why is this a law? Because it's God's law. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like, so laws are below the divine law, and you're gonna make it divine law to be against music? Like, oh, it's just public music. Like, it's like, do you think people's day would be better if there was a lot of fucking beautiful violins, cellos, and shit being, like, they put organs in cathedrals for a reason, you fucking dirtbags. Oh, God. Sorry. Protein. Oh, no. What's wrong with protein? Protein's awesome. The Curtis thing was wild. Oh, man. What a little bitch. What a little bitch. Like, the fucking, like, I've got a mirror, and then I'm gonna, like, what a fucking, like, what a fucking faggot. Like, I'm the alpha there. Oh no. Oh no. It's like, you know the way, like, people have said to me, like, I've been like, am I a narcissist? And people will look at me and be like, dude, no, like, if you were a narcissist, you wouldn't even be asking yourself that question. Like, you know, like, it's like Curtis Stone. It's like, I'm the alpha now, Owen. It's like, nobody who's actually alpha would ever say something like that in that context. This whole fucking, like, like, you fucking, if they'd have had that conversation in person, it would have. This is what really gets me about the internet, right? Because I've experienced it in real life. Well, like maybe 3 times, where someone's real hard on the phone, and then you're in front of them, and nothing, or the total opposite. Do you know, like, it's either a totally, like, neutralized tone, where, like, now you're in front of them and now it's like, hi, so about the argument, you know, like, and it's like completely fucking different. Or they, like, fucking, one of the guys in particular that I fucking dealt with, fucking, like, literally went white and looked like he was gonna piss himself. It's even funnier when you intimidate someone to the point where all the blood runs out of their face, and you don't think you're that intimidating. Like I swear to God, I like don't think I'm this like, oh, you better be afraid of me, I'll fucking kill. Like I'm not. Like, do you know what I mean? Like I know there's always a bigger fish, and that I'm only so physically intimidating and capable. Like, do you know, I know my limits. Like, so when I had an interaction with this guy years ago, and I was like, hey Midge, and he's just like, fucking blue. Like he was smoking a cigarette at the time. I can't remember. I don't think he dropped it, but you could see it. Like his hand was like shaking, like he shit himself. It was, and like my reaction was to give him a hug. Like that's the kind of dude I saw someone who was so pathetic and weak. I was like a predator. That's like a predator reaction. I was like, there is no honor in killing you. Like I swear to God, like that was my reaction. I was like, there is nothing good will come of me beating the shit out of this fucking like desperately pathetic person. Like I feel bad. I feel like I remember like I was like, I feel bad for you. Be like, I can only imagine what it's like to be you right now. Like I would hate to be you right now. Like that sucks to be you right. Like the last thing I did think about it for a minute. I was like, I could just break his jaw. Like, do you know what I mean? Like just stitch him one proper one in the fucking head, like, and try and snap something, like. But I just I sighed. That's it. He was like, and I was just like, give me a hug, you faggot. Like, and he's like, really? like the change in his tone and all. Like, I was like, I'm not gonna hurt you. Like, shut up. Like, fucking. Like, I let it slide because I don't have that in me where I'm like, no, I'm gonna fuck him up. Like, I get really angry. I'll tell you to go fuck yourself, like, and all these fucking things, like, you know what I mean? I'll even turn around and go, I'm gonna fucking kill you, like, you know, and I'll show up with that energy, like, I'll show, like, we gonna do this? Which is probably why he was so terrified, because the way I looked at him. But, like, still, though, if somebody, like, I'm having an argument with on a phone or a text, like, and then shows up with the same energy that we're on the phone, like, I'll be up out of the chair immediately, like, oh yes, we're gonna do this, like, you know, like fucking bouncing, like, you know, it's going down. I think that was actually the vibe that, like, me and two of my friends really, like, connected over, was like that energy of like, oh, we're gonna fucking, like, it's gotta kick off, is it? Like, I think that might be an Irish thing. Maybe not, like, but it's definitely in our culture where, like, when there's like the vibe of a fight is gonna break out, everybody starts getting real, like, oh yeah, come on, like, let's wreck the place. It's not like it's the total opposite of like, oh no, like, things are getting a bit tense. We should probably try and, like, you know, hey, there's no need to speak like that or whatever. Like, you don't try and de-escalate the situation at all. You just start getting excited. You start looking around the room for exits so you, like, you know where everything is in case you have to bolt and shit gets really real. Like, oh, thankfully I've never been in a situation like that. The amount of situations I've been in and it's just happening right there, and I'm like, I don't need to get involved, and I'm just watching, like, like, and it's like, you think when a fight breaks out and there's like 100 people around who just, like, got out of a nightclub or something, like, there's a part of you that thinks that, like, it's gonna be chaos, but it's not, though. If you're 10 feet away from it, it's just two dudes wrestling. Now, don't get me wrong, it can go wrong, and one of them can, like, smack their head off the concrete and be dead, or, like, a paraplegic for the rest of his life or some shit. Like, there is that ever-present danger. Like, street fighting is not something I condone at all, you know? You're basically okaying potential death. But at the same time, I think we would be better off if we existed in a society. Like, I don't know what state it is. There's certain states in America that have like what are they called? Mutual combat laws, where it's like if two dudes agree to have a fist fight, the cops will not intervene, kind of shit. Like, and nobody will get charged unless somebody wants to press charges. But I don't know how it works then. I don't know the law. That'd be pretty bullshit if you agreed to a fight and then was like, I'm suing you. Like, although how funny would it be if you got into a street fight with someone and you kick the shit out of him, and then you've got like he caught you once, like you let him swing first and he catches you and you just eat it and you're like, all right, and you manhandle him, and then you go, I'm going to sue you. Like, that's how you be a real dick. You kick the shit out of him, call the police, and you're like, this dude assaulted me, I want to press charges. And he's like in a heap on the ground, like he's gonna need like, they're gonna need to reset like all four of his limbs, like he's gonna be in a cast like for months. Oh god, I am very rambly today, haven't I? It's Friday. I'm in a good mood, and I'm fucking exhausted. I didn't get enough sleep at all. Like, I don't get this physical discomfort thing. Yeah, guys like you are crazy. Guys like you are like the whole Iron Man thing of like cycling, swimming, running. That takes a lot longer to get really painful, and then you get cramping and shit like that. That's why guys like you are like really lean and shit. I'd be interested to see you do like a horse stance for like, you're like real, you can run for ages and all that shit. Yeah, it'd be really interesting to see how you would handle isometrics, because your muscle groups have been trained over the years to just be like 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2, like, so it's like locomotive. Your muscle groups would be very like just rhythmic and locomotive. They're like well oiled in certain ranges and stuff. You don't look like the most flexible dude. You look like you would have a problem, like, you know, and I'm not saying I am. I can't do the focus splits anymore. But I'm just like, you know, just being real. Typically those frames that are like really like running, cycling, swimming, climbing, you know, hiking, whatever. It's like, you're really good at that. But then if you tried to like lift something like really heavy, you could potentially like fuck up your ankles, your hips, and your back. Or if you tried to like, I don't know, like kick above your head or something. Like, I don't know how flexible you are, like I said. But it's fascinating seeing. It's like when you see a bodybuilder trying to get when you see a bodybuilder trying to fight, you know, and they're like, and they can barely move their fucking body because it's so swollen, like, you know. The same goes for like lean guys who are like really athletic in that endurance kind of like, I'd put you as it, like, that's why they call it the Iron Man, like, do you know what I mean? Because it's like your cardiovascular stamina and your mental discipline is essentially what's being trained there. Your body's kind of like similar to a Formula 1 car. It's great at doing these things, but then like you've probably, like, I'd say you have some joint pains, like your knees, elbows, shoulders, traps, maybe even your neck. I'd say you have some like niggling, like chronic shit, especially when you're competing in that field and winning at your age. I'd say you have some chronic shit. It's so gay because all of the Irish that came here during the potato famine. Ha! Yeah. You know what's gay? Victim consciousness. You're blaming somebody else. Take responsibility for your gayness. Sabro Sama. Speaking of which, feels like it's been a while since you committed seppuku. Now is the perfect time. Did anybody here grow up on sugar sambos? No, but I've heard of them. And the first time I heard of it, I was like, what the fuck? Butter and sugar on bread? Like, what the fuck? But I get it, you know. That's poor. Like, if you grew up on sugar sandwiches, that's that ghetto poor. Like, do you know what I mean? Why can't we get sugar puffs anymore? Sugar puffs? You can't get sugar puffs anymore? Really? You know, now that you say it, I haven't seen them in years. Yeah, now that I'm thinking of it, like, I haven't seen them in a shop in God knows how long. That's funny. Yeah, I wonder why that happened. Isn't that owned by Nestle or Kellogg's or something? Like, did they just discontinue it or some shit? I bet you they found an ingredient in it that the European thing was like, no, get it out. Which, like, in that regard, I really feel blessed to live in Europe and not America. But, you know, like, what would you prefer? Would you prefer being able to own your own gun and, like, higher, like, more space and, like, higher probability of inheriting land from a family situation, even if it's only a small bit of land? You can own your own gun, shit like that. Like, there's a lot of freedoms that the Americans get that, like, they take for granted. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, a big reason why a lot of shit doesn't kick off in other countries is because the civilians aren't armed. You know, which I think is crazy. Now that I'm, like, aware and I'm all grown up and shit, it's like, how any group of people ever thought it was a good idea to not be armed. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, and, like, don't get me wrong, it was probably a situation of, like, people with guns told you to give up your guns. So it's essentially a surrender and a submission situation, which is even fucking worse, to be honest. But, like, it is crazy to think, because, like, what will never happen in America is the jackboots will never show up and, like, kick your door in and point a gun at you and tell you and your missus to get on the ground and, like, cuff you and take you somewhere. Now, I don't think something like that will happen in Europe, but it's a possibility, because, like, the European, like, the EU heads are fucking, like, the Klaus Schwab heads and all that, like, they're fucking lunatics. They're psychopaths, and I wouldn't I wouldn't put it past the European politicians to turn around in a company, in a company, it may as well be a country like Germany, France, or Ireland. Maybe not Britain, because, like, Britain, like, there's, like, the violence in Britain's pretty high because the gangs and stuff like that. Like, a lot of lads have, like, machetes and knives and stuff. I know, like, the whole don't bring a knife to a gunfight thing, but, like, don't bring a gun into a building full of guys with blades would be my advice as well, because, like, obviously, I've never been in a live action shooting scenario, but even in simulated scenarios, close quarters combat with firearms is not fun. You're in a second if you don't check a corner, like, angles, like, all that shit. People waiting for you that know you're coming can get an angle on, like, one entry or something. You can only, like, close quarters combat with firearms, there's no honor in it. It's fucking, like, it's basically luck of the draw, like, especially in a scenario where if you're, like, in Afghanistan or something, you're just going through all these townhouses and stuff and you're, like, ridiculous. Like, that's why they have stuff like flashbangs and stuff, because, like, there's no way to enter a place, to cross a threshold safely. Do you know what I mean? There is always going to be an element of risk when crossing a threshold in any kind of combat scenario. If you want to go from here to here and someone is in there, or, like, in the next room even, like, do you know what I mean, and they know you're coming, that's why the element of surprise is so fucking important. Like, if you can just put, like, an explosive on the side of the wall and just, like, boom, and then just come through the hole, everybody got on the floor, put weapons down, like, that kind of shit makes more sense. But if you're trying to just, in an active shooting situation, like, be crazy in a city, no fucking way. I don't care if this fucking Navy SEALs and Green Berets. All it takes is a fucking 13-year-old with his dad's fucking 22 to be, like, sitting around a corner waiting, and, like, I don't care how good you are, like, do you know what I mean? Like, you could there could be fucking 60s like entering in every fucking room and shit, like, you know, with the laser sights and the night vision and the infrared and the flashbangs and everything. You will get caught. You will get caught. Something will happen. Like, you know, somebody will engage you in hand to hand. You know, you don't know the contents of every room. Fucking mad. Like, the in a gamer terms, like, the level of RNG is insane. Like, there's no like meta tactic that you can just like guarantee success. Like, you never know what's gonna fucking happen. Like, is TRT etc. as popular available in Ireland as here in the USA? It's become so common. I don't know. I actually don't. I'm not in the gym culture here, so I haven't a clue. I'd say so. I'd say it's fairly easy here to go and say to go and get something like that, or something, some kind of European equivalent. Which a lot of the time, like, my ma worked in Whole Foods for years, and she was like, when I was talking about like my grandfather was dying from Parkinson's, and I brought up the idea because I was like, you know, watching a lot of Truth or stuff. I was like, give him CBD oil, put it under his tongue. Like, apparently that's really good for the nervous system. Apparently they've cured people with fucking like cerebral palsy, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, all sorts of shit by introducing CBD into the nervous system and all, blah blah. Like, a lot of it's got to do with the vagus nerve and all this fucking shit. Like, and she was like, oh, we have that in Whole Foods and all. Like, and then you look at it and it's like really, really, really low percentage. It's like, you know, like The Rock, right, will come out with an energy drink for going to the gym, you know, and it's got all these BCAAs and all these like protein things and shit in it. Like, but then you look at the dosages, right, and the dosages are in the like milligrams and shit. If I remember a guy called is a Clive Owen, who's kind of like a truther healer who has his own supplements, and he went on a rant that I seen a few years ago, where it's like the mainstream supplement industry is like everything else these days. It's totally rigged, it's totally monopolized, it's totally corrupt, and it's totally fucked up. And people are paying for products that are basically like very ineffective. Like the amount of vitamin the amount of vitamin D in something, or the amount of you know, the dosage of milligrams of something in all of these products is so low that like it barely has any effect on you. And he was saying that like when it comes to like stuff like magnesium and like iodine and shit like that, where like you actually need like 10 times the dose for actually to have like a potent effect on the body, and for the person to be like, oh shit, I actually feel better. He was saying that like it's so bad that sometimes he'll get his magnesium, people will buy his magnesium product, and the second they touch it to their lips and it like introduces itself into their bloodstream, they instantly start to feel better after years of chronic illness or some shit like that. Like this one ingredient. And that's why I'm really big into the whole alchemical view of, like, if I was to pick an ideology, it'd be alchemy. Like, my ideology, my dogma is alchemy and geometry. Because it's like, that's what you're working with. Like, the shape of things, the shape of things, the composition of things, the content of things, how things mix together, the combinations of things. Like, you put this with this, it does this. Like gunpowder. Like, you put this, and this together, and you introduce heat, and a boom, right? So there's obviously loads of things that you could, like, I think I went on this rant before, where in the show Vikings, there's like this Asian witch that he comes across in like season, I don't know what season, it's like, it's a bit into the show, and she's basically feeding him heroin. She's feeding him balls of, like, I think is like fucking heroin. She gets him addicted to heroin, and for the first couple of times that she gives him this little stuff, he's like on top of the world. He's like, oh my god, this shit's amazing, I feel like a god. And then when he's coming off it, you can see it, like, he thinks he's gonna die. He's never felt like that before. Like, he thinks, like, he's like, this witch has poisoned me and all this shit, but she didn't. You know, it's like, it's not this, just because you get addicted to something and then you're suffering from withdrawals doesn't, like, nobody poisoned you. You poisoned yourself if you're gonna, you know, make that argument. But the knowledge of what plant to put with what other plant, or what to do to a plant, you know, if I take this leaf and I put it in boiling water and then this gunk comes out of it, and then, you know, if I boil this root till all the water's gone, and then I scrape the fucking, you know, the outside of it off and get to the core and all that. Like, there's all of these, like, ancient fucking recipes and stuff. Like, they used to do abortions, like, way back when. You know, like, that's one of the things that I think is, like, kind of what a lot of people are going to use as arguments and stuff in the coming years. It's like trannies, gays, abortions, they've been around for fucking, from as far as I can tell, like, a long time. A long fucking time. So, like, it literally is, like, nothing new under the sun. It's not like today's political issues are any different from previous fucking eras' political issues. Like, it's the same shit. Like, when if your society acts like this, you will produce these type of people and you will get these type of problems. If your society acts like this, you will get these type of people and get these type of problems. Even if you had, like, an opulent, engineering savvy, alchemy savvy fucking, like, if you had, like, a really, just, like, an awesome society, like a fucking, like, the absolute baller, crushing it, fucking, you know, just everybody's killing it at life society, then the minority in that scenario would be, you would probably have, like, there'd only be a few of them, but they would be some of the most malevolent, most, like, effective villain types you've ever come across, because that's where the polarization would be. It's like, if you have people this shit, then you have people this good. That's kind of where we're at right now. It's like, we're surrounded by stuff that is just so down here, but then at the same time you've communities like the Bears, and you've, like, people doing awesome, amazing stuff and saying the truth and, like, fighting for what's right and all these things. So then if you, like, tip it a different way and if the stats in a different place, and you have an absolutely fucking amazing society, it's just fucking awesome in every way and they're absolutely killing it. Well, the opposite polarization to that would be, you'd have a group of people, even if they were small, that are, like, fucking really good at doing awful shit, you know? And we like, that's probably how we ended up here, you know, because, like, you've got all these families who descend from people who are fucking masters at controlling other people, you know? Hemoglobin, pretty uncomplicated defender. What are you on about then? Fucking, like, hemoglobin. That's something to do with the blood, isn't it? Blood goblins. It's blood goblins, isn't it? I hurt my back at work and I did fall off my horse, but my six-wheeler turned over on me, and that broke my crack back. You're an old lady and you're horse riding and you're going around on a six-wheeler. Ugh, you'll be fine. With your kind of attitude, you'll be grand. That broke my cracked back. I was in the hospital for 51 days wearing a turtle shell to help me. You were wearing a turtle? Please send me a photo of you with a turtle shell. like this was me for fucking over 2 months. Like, you holding an IV with a turtle shell thing on. Please tell me you have photos. Back in my TMNT days. Get the photos out, Margie. I want to see. Remember that time you looked like Raphael? But later I had to have surgery, and the doctors messed up they did the surgery again, and that time they made it worse. Jesus, typical. Other than them pinching my nerve, they took 3 inches off. They took 3, like, of your overall height? What did they do? Take out 2 fucking vertebrae? What the fuck? My ribs are in my hips. Oh my god. They fucking butchered you. Jesus Christ. I mean, like, don't get me wrong. I'm not, like, I obviously haven't experienced that level of fucking trauma from being in a hospital. But, like, I was left on a bed in the middle of a hallway. And then, like, with all the, like, believing and after being told that when I woke up the following morning, I would be sent into surgery. And I was left in a hallway, didn't get any fucking sleep and all, because there's, like, people dying around me and shit, like. And, like, at least I was on a bed, you know, at least there was that. But I was on a bed in a hallway. And when I woke up, I was inspected by one of the higher up doctors, surgeons or whatever, with 2 or 3 of his, like, students. And I was poked, prodded, and, like, you know, examined by someone I don't know, like, completely, like, you know, like, you wake up and there's just this person in front of you. And it's like, hi, I'm blah, blah, blah. I'm going to do this to you now. And you're just like, okay. So fucking weird. And the 2 of them just, like, watching him and then looking at me like I'm a fucking lab rat. You know what I mean? So when you do this to the patient, you do. And it's like, dude, like, I'm right here. I'm a person. I'm alive. I have feelings and emotions and I'm aware of shit. Like, you're fucking, the 3 of you are treating me like I'm a specimen right now. What the fuck? It's crazy. They're psychos. Most people in the medical industry are fucking psychopaths. This whole bollocks of, like, you have to remove yourself emotionally to be a potent healer. Oh my god, that is so fucking stupid. But anyway, they fucking told me to go home. He poked and prodded me, you know, inspected my hernia, and was like, I know you're scheduled for 9 o'clock this morning, but we don't have the room, and I think you're well enough to go home. And it's like, okay, cool, realistically, don't get me wrong, I'm not going to die anytime soon as long as this hernia doesn't, like, tear or burst or get any worse or, you know, whatever. But I was basically, essentially relegated to not doing anything overly physical for, like, over 1.5 years. And then when they finally sorted me out and they finally brought me in for surgery and fixed me, in quotes, when I got home, or even before I got home, like, when I woke up from the surgery and when I went to take my first shit after this, like, you know, they basically stabbed me in the abdomen. And so when I woke up and I just had this, like, you know, sewed up abdomen, and then going to take a shit was, like, really painful and uncomfortable. But I noticed quite quickly that the fucking way they'd sewn me up, they had left a bit of the stitches in such a way that it was poking through my flesh. Well, that's not exactly accurate. It wasn't poking through. It was poking up into my flesh, around right where the wound was, to the point that it was, like, visible. Like, it was like something, you know, it was like a tiny, tiny little version of the alien trying to come out of your belly. Like, just this tiny 2 millimeter wide, like, protrusion. It was like my hernia had been made tiny. I was like, what the fuck is that? And I'm, like, touching it. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, it felt sharp and all. And that's basically that. And they said it was because I was too thin. I said, typically our patients have more fat on them. And I'm lying there. I'm like, so you're telling me that I don't have enough fat on me? Now, don't get me wrong. I'm lean. Like, I look, you know, relatively fit or whatever. Like, I've got abs. You know, like, but, like, they're like, yeah, like, you're too skinny. It's not like, they basically told me it was my fault. You know, that the reason the stitches are sticking out of your wound, causing you discomfort, even more discomfort than the heavy amount of drugs we have to give you because we just cut you open and shoved your guts back in. Yeah, that's not our problem. Like, you know what I mean? Like, people are usually fatter. Like it was wild. And then when they brought me back in to fucking like fix the thing I was complaining about, and it was done by two foreign women, you know, who were like speaking to each other, and oh, it was crazy, fucking crazy. They don't take care of you. They just deal with you like you're this. They treat you like a car that's coming in to have something fixed. You know, it's crazy. You should have called USAID when there was time to. That's fucking hilarious about Disney, isn't it? 700,000 subscriptions that like appear to be as if they were funded. Like, oh man, that's wild. Like, you know, totally believable, but like crazy. My body goes up, then over and up. I asked my doctor if I was going to come apart, and he sent me to have X-rays. I haven't heard anything. He also gave me an epidural that didn't help at all. Oh, Jesus. Just like, oh yeah, this'll help. Stick a needle in your spine. Bring back the Iron Maiden. For certain types, I would agree. Definitely. Yeah, I am now the alpha with an F. I actually doing a huge microgreen setup at home. Yeah, it's a great idea. I mean, like in terms of like efficiency, microgreens are like totally a cool idea. Great idea. I couldn't tell you how many service calls my dispatcher would warn me a customer was super mean or Superman. All right. I'd show up ready to rock, and the guy was like a little bunny rabbit. All right, okay, that's hilarious. Where are you a cop? Are you still a cop, or were you a cop? And like what state or some shit like? That's like I can only imagine. Yeah. Oh, there's a guy here. He's being like really threatening and shit, and then you show up, and you're like, "Is there a problem here?" No, officer. Like, a bodybuilder fighting is like watching a girl throwing. Yeah, it's fucking yeah, totally, definitely. Like they can't. There's this fucking gobshite called Wes Watson, who recently had an incident at a gym, and it's like blown up in the gym bodybuilder community, influencer community. And oh, excuse me. Chicken. But there's a guy called Wes Watson. He like had a fight in his gym recently, and there's a moment where he's throwing punches. So the guy's on the ground. He's already been like, you know, he's already in a submissive, not fighting back state, and your man is basically ground and pounding him. But the way he's throwing the punches, it's like, what was it? One of the lads I was watching, Sean Jones, was like, it's like he's swimming, or he's like his arms are like moving through fucking custard or something. Like, it's ridiculous. They can't strike. They can't like. Bodybuilders aren't athletic. Do you know what I mean? Like at all. Like a lot of it's water. It's like and that's why it's funny, because it's like, oh, he's so swole. Yeah, he's swollen. He's not strong. He's just swollen. You talked about iron deficiency. Oh, the hemoglobin. But what do you mean by hemoglobin? Like, you know, like do I have like a low hemo count or some shit like? Oh, I'll be back. I'm starting to lock up a bit. I'm still so tense from working out and shit like. I wasn't that old when this all happened. I do have a picture of me in the turtle shell. No way. Indeed, defender, psychopaths. Yeah, man, total fucking lunatics. You'd have to be like touched in the head to like be like, you know, oh, I want to help people. Well, how are you going to help them? I'm going to learn how to cut open their chest with a bunch of fucking torture equipment and like take a scalpel to their heart in various ways so that I can, in quotes, heal them. Like, that's what like like the whole Chinese medicine. Like I believe in. I believe medicine is supposed to be like. So what symptoms do you have? This, and this. Okay, so based on the symptoms, this is probably what's wrong with you. Okay, so what are we going to do about it? You should probably stop doing this and start eating more of these. None of this like take this pill, call me in a few days, or take 2 of these twice a day or whatever, give it 4 weeks. None of this like, oh well, you're going to need surgery, we're going to need to inject you with a substance that will render you unconscious, like to such a point, like not just unconscious to such a degree that I can like cause fatal, no, unconscious to such a degree that you can be like almost completely disassembled as long as everything is still intact. Like they do shit like that. Like, do you know what I mean? They do shit like when they're these major surgeries. They remove parts of you temporarily or whatever, or they open up parts of you where like the trauma they're causing to the body to, in quotes, fix you or heal you is so monumental. Like people don't like think about that. Like the fact that they've to like use saws, chisels, fucking vice grips and forceps and clamps. You know, like the way they fix a broken limb is they screw it together with titanium. Do these sound like, even in an engineering sense, that's like, dude, that's like brutal. Like, fuck. Sorry that happened to you, Defender. Ah, fuck it. It's nothing compared to your fucking circumstances. Like, do you know what I mean? I'm over it. Like, it's like when I'm talking about my past in terms of like things my father did or whatever, how it affected me. It's like, yeah, I've been through some shit, but it's nothing compared to like a lot of people out there. You know, like I'd say at least 30 to 40% of the population is like seriously fucked up in some way. They're either like obese, or they have some kind of organ failure or issue. They have a chronic illness. They've a fucking injury. Like, everybody's got something, you know. And the ones who don't have something are probably pussies. But anyway, guys, I'm going to leave it there. I'm fucking starving and exhausted. Apologies for no painting goo today, but like, yeah, just, you know the story. When I get talking, I just get talking, and then the next thing you know, it's been 2.5 hours. I hope you enjoyed my rantings and ravings and ramblings, and I will see you Monday, my Japonaita. Remember to be good, be true, and be beautiful, and most of all, pay for painting goo. Link in description. Right, hope everybody has a glorious weekend. Margie, fix your back. Get your back fixed. You know, we want you around, Margie. I don't want to come on one of these days and you're fucking typing in the chat from a laptop in hospital or some shit, you know? Have a good one, Ginger. And you too, Proctor. Fingerer. Right, I'll see y'all later. Have a good weekend. God's bless, and I shall see you soon.